last year Max wasn't anything. He wasn't first, second, or third team, and he was nominated. And I told him, hey man, people don't think you're very good. So happy for both Max and Meach and John. They both had, all three of them had really good years. When the pairings go up like they did last night, we had our team over at 11 o'clock. Thank you, NCAA. Me and my wife really don't want to be up at 11:30 with people in her house, but that was fine. There's 300 plus teams playing this thing, and there's 64 left. And if you get the noon game, you're either winning and moving on and enjoying your day, or getting on the bus and going home. So they're good. You don't win whatever they want. 26 games by being bad, and it'll be an interesting matchup for us. Yeah. I always say you can't lose your way in the NCAA tournament. We did a little bit.
Hello everyone, this is Justin Gray, sports editor for the Bell Ringer and communication major at Augusta University, with another edition of the Dip Meecher Show from Bell Ringer Phoenix Media. In this edition, we will briefly discuss the Jaguars' loss to North Georgia in the Peach Belt Conference Tournament, and then preview the NCAA Tournament. Our panel includes Augusta University head men's basketball coach Dip Meechers and chair of the comm department, Dr. David Bulla. How are we doing, everyone?
It's a cold, rainy Monday, and it was beautiful on Saturday. So what's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
But it's basketball weather.
Yes. Very cold, very windy. Very cold, windy, rainy, bad. Yes.
Probably a lot better after the way this weekend went for the Jags.
Yes. We were score watching like crazy. We decided to practice on Saturday and Sunday. Once Lenoir-Rhyne and Lincoln Moore got to the championship, we felt like we were going to get in, and then just where after that. So we took off, Thursday and Friday, and then practice Saturday, Sunday. We'll take off today, and then go Tuesday, Wednesday, and figure this thing out.
We'll start off with the Peach Belt Tournament. Last week, you guys fell at home to UNG, North Georgia, in the quarterfinals. What was the biggest, message from this game? Was it more? Do you feel like it's a lesson to your players about how to play in tournament games?
A little bit. We did a bad job on A.J. White. He was very good. And, looking back on it, we should have doubled him, got the ball out of his hands. We did a good job with him late in the game last time we played him. So, it was a tough loss. And, hopefully gets us refocused, gave us a couple of days off. And then Thursday and Saturday and Sunday, we were able to do some things defensively that we didn't do the last 3 games, really, to be honest with you.
I couldn't watch the game because you had to pay for it, and I had a sick son.
It's a real bright idea by the Peach Belt.
Yeah, well, anyway, did you play zone any to try to slow him down?
We did 1 or 2 possessions. They had 3 out of it. He got really deep on us, and he hit, I think it was 6 in the first half. I remember he hit 2 off inbounds plays, 1 off a loose ball. He kind of got it going, was feeling it, and really got it going. So he hurt us, and then we didn't play well. And our inability to get to the free throw line in the second half really hurt us.
And you got behind pretty far in the first half too, right?
Yeah, we were down significant points, and we came back. I think we cut it to 3, I think it was, or 4.
Cut it to 2 in the first half, and then cut it 2 again in the second half.
Yeah, 2 in the second half. And, every time he was the one that seemed to make a shot every time. So, and they gave Aiken a good run. They arguably, if they win that game, they're in the NCAA tournament, because Beaufort wasn't eligible to play for it this year.
I just ask you, curious, had Beaufort been eligible, would they have been an at-large bid?
No, they would not. They're not allowed because they're in the transition. I think this was the last year. So once they beat Columbus, the winner of the Aiken North Georgia game became the automatic qualifier.
Okay.
So if North Georgia wins it, I think we get 4 in, to be honest with you, because we were able to stay at 6, and somebody would have been knocked out, either Catawba or Carson Newman, it looks like.
So we'll forget about that loss and talk about the NCAA tournament. Well, first we'll mention Jags had 3 guys make the all-conference teams. Jaxon Garner and Max Amadassoon, both first team. John St. Germain, the third team. Meach didn't win Player of the Year, probably because Columbus won the conference. Jarrett Adderton won it. And then your friend at Columbus State won Coach of the Year, Coach Robert Moore.
I'm happy for him.
Talk a little bit about your guys on making the team. Obviously great for Max to get recognition when he's not, it's always about Jaxon Garner.
Last year Max wasn't anything. He wasn't first, second, or third team, and he was nominated. I told him, hey man, people don't think you're very good. So happy for both Max and Meach and John. They both had, all three of them had really good years. Meach had a phenomenal year. Max's rebounding totals, like I say every year, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, his rebounding totals, the ability to get rebounds like that. And I think coaches appreciate that. You know, coaches look at a lot of things, but when you look at 12 rebounds or whatever he got, and his leadership provided a lot. And then John getting third team is a good honor as well.
So the Jags will take on Lenoir-Rhyne in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It was announced last night at 11 p.m.
Does anybody know what time the game is? I've heard like three different.
I haven't. I have no idea.
It's either 12 or 2:30. I'm getting conflicting reports.
I would imagine usually the 4 or 5. Usually the 4 or 5 is the first game, right?
Yes, but I have no idea. Like my wife found it at 2:30, then somebody just told me 12 before I walked in here. So I don't know. We'll know tomorrow at our conference call. Yes.
So we'll have that out on the bell ringer at some point this week. You guys got an at-large bid. This is the 13th time under you that the Jags have went to the tournament. 16th time in school history at Division II level. Under Coach Meachers, the Jags have 24 NCAA tournament wins. You've hosted 5. You went on a run of 5 straight NCAA regional hosted. You've made 2 runs to the national championship. When you look back at all that, how do you reflect on that and what you've done here at Augusta?
Well, we kind of thought we were getting at large bid. I looked at it. I said, okay, we've never been to Columbus for an NCAA regional, and golly, we've been to Queens. We've hosted them. We've been to Lincoln Memorial. We've been to Aiken. I think that in my time, Belmont Abbey went to IUP for one. Actually, Queens was in our region then. So you kind of remember it when the pairings go up like they did last night. We had our team over at 11 o'clock. Thank you, NCAA. Me and my wife really don't want to be up at 11:30 with people in her house, but that was fine. You start seeing the pairings, and you look at things, and you go, Adelphi, man, I remember when Tommy McCormick's brother played there. So there's a lot of recognition. I'll tell you something that Dr. Bulla would have. 3 CIAAs made it. It's the first time 3 CIAAs have ever made the region tournament. So that means that the West Virginia League and the Pennsylvania League were in strong, because not the CIAA's bad, but very rarely do they get 3 in. So it's a cool thing to watch it. These guys, actually, Meach is the only one who played in it. Even though it was 2 years ago, I guess. Max, we weren't able to make it last year. We're on the bubble, and it's a cool thing. It really is. Like I told you, there's 300 plus teams playing this thing, and there's 64 left. And if you get the noon game, you're either winning and moving on and enjoying your day, or getting on the bus and going home. So if you get the 7:30 game, 3 people are eliminated by the time you play. So it's a cool thing, and I'm happy that Columbus gets to host it because the body of work, man. They only lost 3 games, and the 2 of them were us in the second part of the year. They lost to Francis Mary before the first of the year. So it's great, and hopefully our players have a good experience.
Yeah, I did want to mention you guys have played Columbus State in the tournament one time, beat them by 34 back in
it was at Queens. Yeah, we lost to them. Yeah, we lost to them in the conference tournament at Lander. Keyshawn cramped up, and I don't remember what seeding that game was, but yeah, we did play well. I think we lost to Queens the next round. Yeah, they run together after a while.
Queens was the host and beat you by 6 in the regional semifinal.
Was it semifinals? Right.
Yes.
And I think they might have played Lincoln Memorial in the championship that year. I don't remember.
Not sure.
Yeah.
So, yes, you have played Columbus State in the tournament. They've been really good, obviously.
Yep.
Only 2 losses, in conference play. And nobody really made it. I mean, there was Georgia Southwestern, Georgia College tried to knock them off a few times, but they really weren't ever that close to losing a game besides against us.
No, they really weren't. A couple close calls, and they were very experienced. They didn't hurt themselves. The Buford hit 18 threes against him in the semifinals. I talked to Robert, I think 8 against his zone, and then that means there are 10 more out there. So, that's going to happen. And like I said, he's been doing it long enough. It's hard to host a regional, and I'm happy they get a chance to host it. And I think that means we're on the other side of the bracket, which I told him, I said, we're playing on Tuesday. We'll be happy, both of us.
UNC Pembroke was 14-22 yesterday against Emmanuel from 3. They were I think they were 12 out of 14 at one point. They cooled off a little at the end, but I mean, you shoot 60-some% from 3, you usually don't lose.
Yeah,
and you do score over 100 points.
Yeah, and Pembroke rebounds it, and I didn't know they were that. I didn't pay attention. We're not playing them, so I really don't focus on them. And they're not a great traditionally not a great 3-point shooting team, Pembroke.
In the next game, they probably will shoot 15%.
Absolutely. Live and die by let it fly.
Yeah.
I think watching it last night, Fayetteville State made the tournament. Florida Southern made the tournament. Were those all let you out? And Manuel was on the bubble.
And Manuel was on the bubble, yes. And so, playing a good schedule helps you, to move forward with Lenoir-Rhyne. We haven't played any SAC teams this year. They have 24 league games, so you really don't get many opportunities. And they're good. They're good. I mean, he merged two teams. He came from Eastern New Mexico, brought 3 guys with him, and then took Lenoir-Rhyne and merged them and picked up a couple of JUCO kids who are pretty good players, and been able to watch it this morning. And they have a large kid, 7'1", 7'2". That's effective. They got good guard. They're good. They're good. You don't win whatever they want. 26 games by being bad, and it'll be an interesting matchup for us.
Yeah, they're 26-5, South Atlantic champs. Obviously took down Lincoln Memorial. They won their conference tournament games. They played 3 of them. Won by 1, 2, and 4. I think were the final scores.
Wow! Now I did not know that. I didn't. I knew the Catawba game was close. Who did they play in the first one? I haven't watched that one yet.
I think they played. Was it Coker?
Yeah, I don't know who. I knew they played Lincoln Memorial and Catawba.
Let's see. I can tell you right here.
And Lenoir-Rhyne and Catawba are huge rivals.
Yes.
Played Anderson in the first round, won by 2, beat Catawba by 1, and I think they made a 3-pointer to win that game.
The Catawba Lenoir-Rhyne game had 5 or 6 technicals.
Oh.
Okay.
84, 83.
Yes.
Wow.
There was 3 on each team. There was an F2 foul that, ironically, you don't have to sit in the sack on an F2 because the guy played the next game. So there was an F2 foul involved in this thing. As I was watching it, it got heated. It definitely got heated. And you're right. They're rivals from from back when you used to play, Dr. Bulla. Yes.
when I actually covered them.
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys have played 3 common opponents. You guys are 4-0 against the common opponents, which are Shawan, Emmanuel, and Clayton State.
Okay.
They are 2-1. They lost to Shawan in game 1 of the year.
Yeah, if you look at it, they're meshing, literally jokingly, meshing 2 teams. And once they kind of figured out some of this stuff, and their leading scorer, Zaire Smith, wasn't starting at the time, and I could just look at the box scores. I'm not going to go back and watch that one. That's way too early. That's watching us play the first weekend of the season. So they're good. They're very good, very quick, and kind of like they don't shoot it great. They don't shoot many of them. They kind of drive it, put the ball inside. So I would say it's similar. They scored a pretty good clip though.
Yeah, and you look back at the Jags game against Shawan, it was really
that was a wild one.
About as close as you get to a loss with a win.
Yes.
Coming back from 10 points down with 2 minutes to go and taking it to overtime and winning that one, scoring 105 points. How do you prepare? So you got a lot of international kids. They have no idea who this is. No idea. Yeah. So how do you prepare for just some random team out of a random conference that you guys don't know about?
Obviously it came up last night. Going into the night, I figured we were going to play Lenoir-Rhyne and Lincoln Memorial, waiting on the outcome of the Pembroke game. And I figured if Pembroke won it, they were going to jump us in the poll. So we don't focus on them. I kind of glanced at some stuff Sunday morning, but didn't watch any film. And then with our players, obviously they've never experienced it. So they don't really have any idea. So we went hard Saturday and Sunday. We took off today. So when they come in Tuesday, we're starting to prepare for them. We'll watch film of them probably Thursday because we're going to be traveling Thursday, I think, practicing down there. So we usually watch film. I don't know if we'll watch it Thursday or Wednesday. This time of year, good. Everybody left is good. And they definitely fit that mold, no question.
Yeah, and of the matchups, I would say this is probably the one the Jaguars don't want to say fare best against, but it's a good matchup for the Jags.
The Lincoln Memorial game and Lenoir-Rhyne game, Lincoln Memorial's starting 5-man tore his ACL. I was watching the film like, whoa, I saw it. And I text their coach. I go, I hope that's not bad. And then later on the film, I see him sitting on the bench. So, Lincoln Memorial lost a starter in his last game of his career, I think, actually. So, they're good. Lenoir-Rhyne was good. They're different. But nothing kind of wild that we haven't seen or different style or something like that. Just, he's from their coach is from the Midwest. It kind of runs some old X-cut action, and so something we haven't seen, but nothing we can't prepare for.
I'm going to put you on the spot. If there's one team that the Jags have played that you could compare them to, is there one you could pinpoint that is similar?
No, not really, because they got a big glacier in the middle, 7'1". They got a big guy in the middle. No, not really. To be honest with you, no.
Okay.
They do switch a lot of things, which Aiken does, but they don't switch to deny. They switch to stay in the gaps. They're older. If you look at the roster, you look and go, okay, where's this guy been? There's a gap in a couple of years. So it's a very diverse group. I must say I didn't know anyone. I really didn't know any of them until I started preparing for them and get their backgrounds. And like I said, he brought a couple, signed a couple, and then they have a couple kids that were there that are helping them tremendously too.
Yeah, it sounds a little like Flagler the year they went to the final game.
Yeah. It's kind
of a hodgepodge.
Zaire, who's playing really well, Zaire Wells. He's playing really well. And whatever reason he wasn't starting early in the year. He's only probably started 11 games. The game I'm watching before I came in, he had a mask. I don't know if he broke his nose like Lou. I have no idea. So when you don't play somebody, obviously people in the league, but you're just kind of going. You got. We don't play till Saturday, so we're used to playing Saturday, playing Wednesday. So I know it'll be a good matchup, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing. We don't play like them. So and I like the fact that we're playing somebody we haven't played all year. Golly, you don't want to go in there and play Columbus and Aiken right away because you just played them. So that's kind of good that the NCAA has done that. They've kind of forced the matchups a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be a 10-day, almost 10 days, if not 10 days before y'all play between games.
Yep.
And that's the first time since Christmas break it's been that big of a gap.
Yeah.
How do you make sure your guys don't lose focus? And obviously they're going to be ready for the tournament. I mean, this is what they play the entire season for.
Yeah, we probably did too much Saturday and Sunday. It was wall-to-wall combat Saturday and Sunday. It was on, for 2 days. But we needed it. Let me get this correct. When I asked them, we kind of saw them the day before. And the day after we lost North Georgia, I say, hey, man, just text me 2 things that you guys think we need to be better at offensively and defensively, just to see what their mindset is. And, you get some good answers, you get some bad answers. But some, basically get them thinking about it. The good thing is they've listened because of some things we say. And then I said, hey, man, this is not what I said. This is what you guys are saying. So we had 2 pretty good practices, and it's tough. The year is getting long. It's March 10th, and our freshmen, obviously we got a couple of internationals, they're not used to kind of going at this. And we told them to take 2 days off when we lost. Take Thursday and Friday off because we really didn't know if we were going to be in. Once things started falling, I made a decision to go Saturday and Sunday and then take off Monday.
So I'll read out the matchups. Columbus State, the host, will play Carson Newman. Aiken will play Catawba. We'll play Lenoir-Rhyne, and Lincoln Memorial and Pembroke. UNC Pembroke will play.
Lincoln Memorial and Pembroke played during the year, and Catawba and Aiken played during the year.
Okay. So I was wondering why Catawba jumped Carson Newman.
Because they beat him twice. They beat him twice head-to-head, yes. The guy at Carson Newman was texting me quite often, and I'm not on the committee anymore, and he was worried about not getting in. If North Georgia wins or Emmanuel wins, they don't get in. And they were hovering at 7 the whole time. And I always say you can't lose your way in the NCAA tournament. We did a little bit, but our wins against Columbus, Emmanuel, Shawan, those things and our strength of schedule really helped us.
For you personally, if you win Saturday, it'll be another 20-win season, which I think gives you up to 15 for your career, 13 here. You'll also be at 590, so only 10 away from 600.
Closing in.
Yeah. So next year we'll have to have some
I need to find
special night for you.
Yeah.
But those are really. And you've had a bunch of 19-win seasons too. So,
a couple with Belmont Abbey. Yeah, we were close. Yes.
But sort of what does that mean to you?
First off, you got good players, you got good staffs. My high school coach Red Jenkins said, "Don't ever play golf until you win 20 games as a head coach." Okay, and whenever I won at 20 games, I never picked up golf, and I didn't know what he meant by that because it's hard to win, it's hard to be successful. Then you get this little thing of an NCAA tournament, 20 wins. Well, you got to keep focused on this thing, especially nowadays. So, no, it's good, and been fortunate enough to, been coaching a long time. This is the 30th year, I think, and to get to 20 would be great. Just keep progressing and keep these guys focused because the end of the year last year, we were done. We were done mentally. We were done physically. Okay, we didn't deserve to play anymore, to be honest with you. This year, I'm like, hey, this team kind of deserves because we do practice hard and they do like being at practice. Yeah. And, that's good to have, young guys like being at practice. The older guys, but as long as you're going 5-on-5, they're good. So.
Well, the other thing is you're 19-5 since that start.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good record.
Yes.
That's pretty respectable.
Yes.
I mean, if you only had that, you probably be seated a little higher.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. And, not to announce it, but we've been invited to the preseason thing down in Florida Southern next year. We'll open up, I guess, on Halloween or something. I don't know what's going on first and second, to play. There'll be one team from each region, or maybe not each region. I think Lincoln Memorial is going as well. It's because of our success with the returning guys we have. So we'll get 2 extra games. I think North Georgia played this year. Pembroke played the year before. You're going to go down and play against good people. I know Alaska Anchorage is in it. Damon's in it from Buffalo, who's undefeated. So that's kind of cool. It means you're doing something, and you got some guys coming back. So it'd be neat because you get to start games earlier. Players love that. They don't want practice. Right. So no, we're happy with our success, and we just want to keep going and see if we can win one against LR.
The other thing is playing that tough schedule. And you're a little banged up there too with Joyner and
no doubt.
Elias Paulson were hurt. It's to me, for the long run, I think a good thing, because it's better to know something about your team than to go 6 or 7 or 8-0 and not learn anything. Yeah, that's kind of Izzo's thing at Michigan State. He plays that tough schedule in the pre-schedule, pre-conference, and then this year he had a good team, so he's going to be the number 1 team. From
this year when we played Fayetteville State, I'm like, okay, that's an NCAA tournament team.
Yes.
When we played Florida Southern, I said that's an NCAA tournament team. The year before we played Benedict, I said that's an NCAA tournament team. So even when we won an Emmanuel, I'm like, okay, that's probably or pretty close to an NCAA tournament team. You kind of know when you play them, even if you're playing good or bad. So we're very fortunate to try to keep scheduling good people. Good teams usually have a hard time finding games, so you just kind of play. Matter of fact, me and Carson Newman are going back and forth right now. And I think I'm done scheduling wise. He's wanting to add one, and I'm like, maybe that is beneficial for us. So, you want to play good people, because if you're trying to make the NCAA tournament, that definitely never hurts you. But you got to beat some of them. You can't just lose to all of them.
And I think the other thing for you guys was, since you beat CSU twice, and they're the best team in this region, that really helped you. Because if you didn't have that, we'd be done. We'd be done.
Yes, yes. I think if we don't beat Columbus twice, we're not playing. Right. I really don't.
And that second half over there was
hopefully got that magic. I'd love to play that well on Saturday. Yes, it was a really good effort. And like I said, I'm happy for our players. You got all these young guys get a chance to experience it. It's kind of cool. They don't really know what they're into.
Right.
They just know that you're still practicing.
Yeah, when you look back at the 0-4 start, now in the moment it felt not very fun. You look back on it in hindsight. It was 2 NCAA tournament teams. Yeah. Jags were banged up. Max didn't play against a small Fayetteville State team. Yeah. Probably changes that one. So, those are 4. The first 2, they just got away from you. Yeah. And then you played Florida Southern, who is a 3 seed in the Sunshine State.
Max sat for the F2. And, they're going to be mad at me. I'm going to bring it up in the coach's thing. We're only hurting ourselves by doing something like this. I get it. Hey, man, you cost a team an NCAA tournament berth. He didn't deserve to be sitting for an F2, okay? He has to sit a game. Now, we didn't win that game. We're fortunate enough to win. But if other leagues, your competitors have people getting ejected for F2s and they're able to play the next game, that's a competitive advantage. It's probably contrarian to what everybody wants to do nowadays, but you got to be careful sometimes with something that sounds really good. There's no review process. So, no, but you're right. We're 0-4, and, Barton ended up figuring that thing out a little bit. They ended up winning 17 games or 16, 17 games. Mount Olive just pressed us. We turned it over. We were bad, So, like I said, Emory's still playing. They got Barry Washington. We're going to play good people. I got to figure out how to get Jason in this schedule here. We're starting earlier, but he won't care.
And Clemson is, maybe we're hoping maybe a 2 seed, maybe. Yes. Probably not.
What I read is the best ever.
Oh, it's not even close.
No question. Even with Tree Rollins or Nance, they were not this good.
I saw that, and obviously no Bradbury wrote Ian and Hunter, man, those are guys that are all into Clemson, okay? You see that with Michigan State. You see with other people. But those guys have carried that program this year. Right. And I'm happy for them. And hopefully they can make a run and get to the Final Four. And, Brad, I know he was very disappointed last year when he lost that game. He said, my dream is to get to the Final Four as a head coach. So
the other thing is Georgia Southern was a lot better too this year. So it was important that you played 2 Division I teams.
I'll forget that game happened.
Yeah, you forget it because I need to reach out to Charlie. He reached out to me to something else, and that was weird because last year he was like, "You want to do it again?" I'm like, "Sure." So I got to he asked for help on something. I need to kind of follow up and say, "Oh, we're going to do this again." And same thing. You're just trying to play good people that makes sense, and your players learn to appreciate it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, but back to what you were talking about with the F2. This looks lot different if the Jags don't beat Columbus State twice and had a chance to beat 2 tournament teams early on, and Max got thrown out in the middle of the Florida Southern game, and then missed the Fayetteville State game. Had you not beat Columbus State, those 2 keep you out of the tournament probably.
Yes.
So you make a very good point about how we need to handle
we
this
had
kind
a
of
little
thing.
situation in the North Georgia game with a common foul. That wasn't a common foul.
That wasn't a common foul.
And of course, our common foul. I sent the SEC supervisor F1. Okay, what are we doing here? Like, it's inconsistent. And that was clearly an F1 foul. But
I know Dr. Bulla didn't get to see it. There was a play in the second half, and one of their guys, I won't name him, but he's one of those types of players that's just real chippy the entire game. And John goes in for a layup. Everybody's back down the floor. He missed it. He got fouled on the layup, didn't get called. Then you look back down there, and he is on the ground. He hit the ground really hard. He got shoved, basically extension of the arm, basically into the front row down there by the cheerleaders. And so bad that everybody in the crowd reacted. They go and review it and determine a common foul, which they played it on the big screen. That was as close to a F2 as you can get without it being an F2. And it definitely was a flagrant one.
Well,
so
I would argue, Max is what an F2. Okay, that's not an F2. It's an F1. Let's go on with it. But let's make some consistency with it. It's hard. The games get later, there's going to be more physical. And, they want to put it in the player's hands. But, it's tough. It's a tough game to officiate. But when we got this video, let's look at it and determine something. So
the other thing with big guys is they're always getting more fouls than they should, and they look more physical than they really should.
Bigger guys, yes.
Now, the Alabama guy on Saturday,
he can't do that.
Can't do what he did.
No, he can't do that. Throw an elbow, yes. It's different,
And he was talking.
Yes.
He was talking smack.
Great game to watch, though.
But it was the best game of the season, I think.
Yes.
Maybe the Clemson Duke game.
Yes.
I was watching the Jags that night. I had it on, of course. I was keeping up with it. I hate when they play at the same time. But I did want to ask you, I forgot to ask you about that when we were talking about North Georgia. The Jags shot, and we talked about it post-game, 16 free throws. North Georgia shot 35. And I've seen 5 games between the 2 teams. And it seems like every game that is played between you guys, they get the benefit of the doubt, whether it's right or not. I just wanted to ask if there's is it because they're punching first?
No, they do a good job putting the ball inside. They drive it, okay. My contention was we didn't get to the free throw line in the second half till a minute to go. I mean, if you're going to call that on us, call it on them. So it's very frustrating. And, it's a hard job. I get it. Hard job officiating. I've said this for 20 years now. We need to have somebody sitting at the game that's an ex-coach, not an ex-referee. Okay? I mean, I don't know who this person could be, but let that person who has nothing to do with this game, okay, to evaluate officials. Because you can't have me evaluate officials. I'm an ex-coach. But let's say somebody else who hasn't coached in 8 years and just sit there and evaluate whether they're running the game correctly. I'm kind of on deaf ears, but I remember Clint said it years ago. You need to have an ex-coach sitting there, like somebody who views it from a coach's eyes, not from a referee's eyes. So, it's frustrating. And, we had a situation in the regular season game against North Georgia. The referee tells me on a foul, I go, why is the ball there? He said, under 2 minutes, it can be taken out on the side on the baseline. I'm like, really? I'm like, well, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that because it's not true. I text the official. He's like, no, that's not a rule. I'm like, wow. So, whatever. We'll figure it out.
When I was writing for the Durham Sun, I'd go cover NC State, and Jim Valvano was the coach then. And one guy came to every game. His name was Lou Bello. He'd been a ref in the ACC. Yep. And Lou would get the box score that was printed by the SID at NC State, and he would look at the number of fouls on each team, and he would ask Valvano or, Dean Smith, who they're coaching against, Krzyzewski. He'd say, all right, y'all shot 30 free throws, and the Tar Heels shot 42. What do you think about that? And
right.
I mean, he's a ref, and he knew that it wasn't. There should be. I mean, you can't enforce absolute balance because different teams, like North Carolina, did not play a tough man-to-man defense. Right. Duke did.
Yes.
So it was a different thing. But still, it should be as fair as possible.
Well, one of the things the game is such 3-pointers are drive to the basket, literally drive. But and so it's a hard game to officiate. I get that.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't call it the whole game. If you're going to call it consistency. Right. So yeah, it's frustrating. Hopefully, we get the national tournament here though. I guess 1 or 2 of our guys, they usually spread these guys out, then they meet and they advance in the tournament. So hopefully we'll just focus on winning and beating Lenoir-Rhyne on Saturday.
And that was John's 4th game this year that he shot 0 free throws. The first 3 were against the 3 least physical teams in the conference, allowing him to drive to the basket, which was Georgia College, Clayton State, and Lander.
Yep.
And then, but I did want to mention one more thing to you that we've talked about several times, and it's the travel violation when the guys fall with the ball. Has not been called in 2 years that I've been here, and the most critical part of the game, they call it on Max the other day when you had several situations before it wasn't called.
Yeah, what they say is, let me get this correct. It's determined on when you have possession of the ball. Okay, so if I get the ball and I come down with possession of it, it's a walk. That's a very loosely interpreted rule. I would argue, was it a walk? Yes, 100% it's a walk. But so is the other.
Right.
Well, what about the times they go to the basket with that Euro step and they take four or 5 steps and they don't call that?
And Lenny always says, if you don't call in the beginning of the play, they don't call it. We had a situation down at Buford, a guy called a walk on us. I'm like, whoa. He said, you can't land on one long. I'm like, okay, if you're going to call that, you better call it the whole way. Yes, that's technically right, but that's not the way this thing's officiated. So, of course, he just blew his whistle and had to call it. So, no, it's walks or, Steve Kerr went off on it the other day. And, he's right. Like, you're getting a huge advantage when you take an extra step to start the game or start the possession with the ball. So, it's a tough game to officiate, but walks are woof. Man, I don't know what one is anymore, to be honest.
No, I don't either.
Yes.
I mean, that Alabama-Auburn game, a kid, he took 5 steps for Alabama, and I'm like, okay, you can't review that.
No.
If I was if I was Pearl, I'd be saying, hey, let's look at this because it clearly is walking.
And then there's a Euro steps, and you're trying to avoid defenses and all that stuff. But when you 1, 2, 3, that's a walk. So it's hard.
It's a very loosely officiated, call. Especially see Max sometimes he does walk with it, and then there's sometimes he doesn't, and it's just they've already called it a few times. They're like, that's a walk, and it's not.
I always say, what did he do? He moved his pivot foot. Which one was his pivot foot?
Yeah,
that's
a good question.
Okay. I almost want to maybe put him in 2 different color shoes. That's what I do next year. I get a big kid. Put him in a blue shoe and a red shoe so they can see the pivot foot. That might be a good idea.
Well, funny enough, Clemson, Ian Shefflin wears different color. I didn't know if that was if there's a reason.
Yeah.
That could be a reason because he does work the paint like Max does.
Do you teach the jump stop anymore?
Yeah, we try to. I don't. We try to play off 2. Yes.
Yeah.
And
because Gardner has a beautiful jump stop.
Yes. What did the referee say one time? If you leave off of 1, you can't land on 2. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what a walk is anymore. So
I just know that when he takes to the ball to the hole, almost every time, he jump stops.
Yes.
He goes up for a shot. He gets fouled, and about half the time they don't call
we have
anything.
a referee, Archibald Whaley in our league, an older guy out in North Georgia. He always calls a walk on the move to begin with. I'm like, Archibald, nobody in the league calls that but you, because he called me. I'm like, golly. Now, is he walking? I don't know. I haven't been called all game. So, it's tough. If walks are really, really – they've taken out the charge as a hard call because basically they just don't call it. The other one's frustrating is this goaltending thing. Like, you call goaltending – what did they say? You call goaltending and we can review it always. So their error on the side.
That's the one international rule I would be okay with.
Yes.
Go up there and
knock
it all the rim all you want to.
Yes. We had it down in Buford. Whatever it was a shot. We're going to shoot the free throw, and the referee comes in and he goes, count the buck. I'm like, when? What are we doing? And he goes, well, we can review it. I'm like, but that doesn't mean you just go in.
Well, that's terrible.
Yes, that's just bad. So it's like I said, it's they took out the block charge by changing the rules, basically. So it's almost impossible to
draw the charge. Old Steve Hill, North Carolina, where he'd just fall down. As soon as you got near him, that's out. Nobody's going to do that anymore.
They're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And the flopping rule should have never just been put in because they don't enforce it. I remember the other day, A.J. White jumps into Max, throws it up, and goes flying back. His parents were behind me, and
yeah, the flopping thing they emphasized 3 years ago, and boy, that's not even a rule anymore. No. It was that used to be called. That's something that happens all the time.
And Lander does it more than anybody on 3-pointers.
Yes.
So that's all we've got here today. Good luck to the Jags headed down to Columbus State this weekend. Hopefully,
Yep.
We'll have a
Hopefully another 1 week.
podcast
Yep.
next week, and we'll be previewing the Elite Eight for the Jaguars. Thank everyone for listening today. We'll be back next week with another episode. The Dip Meter Show is a production of Bellringer Phoenix Media. Jasmine Garcia is the TVC Lab coordinator. Jaxon Garner is the producer. Dr. David Bulla is the coordinating producer. We are coming to you from the TVC Lab in University Hall on the Summerville campus of Augusta University. You can find us at aubellringer.com, on Spotify, and on social media. Please send your comments to bellringerproduction@gmail.com. Have a great day and listen again soon. This is Justin Gray saying so long. Back at you next week. Go Jags.